Hello there, David Risley here with the Blog Marketing Academy at blogmarketingacademy.com, and we're going to continue today with our list building challenge that we've been doing for the last several episodes, today with installment number 8. Okay. Now, in the last 2 episodes, we talked about a couple of uses for paid traffic in order to build up your list more effectively. Today, I want to get off of that topic and I want to bring this back in-house again to the things that we can actually do on our blogs without spending any additional money. Okay. Something you guys might be happy to hear. So one of the things that we know about our plugins is that they give us the ability to run different types of opt-in forms. We've talked a little bit in the past about how different types of opt-in form locations on your blog can convert at different levels. Most blogs have a primary lead magnet that they put right in their sidebar, and they kind of leave it at that. However, the sidebar is usually one of the worst performing locations for your opt-in. It really is. The typical conversion rates that I've seen out there are usually in the 1 to 2% range for a sidebar, sometimes even less. Sometimes the sidebar doesn't even convert at 1%. And frankly, that sort of sucks. It's not something that we should be happy with or think that this is just the way blogs perform. Most bloggers put that thing in the sidebar simply because they see everybody else doing it. And it just becomes this case of the blind leading the blind, and they don't really question that. Okay. Now, if you're using my recommended plugin for opt-in forms on your blog, which is of course Thrive Leads, then you've got a lot of other types of options that you can use besides the simple sidebar form. You've got the, in content, which is definitely something that I recommend for content upgrades and stuff like that. You've got putting it down at the post footer, ribbon, etc. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to experiment with some of these other types of forms that the Thrive Leads plugin and of course other types of opt-in plugins can usually give you. All right. So, of course, let's run through a few of these different form types that you might want to look at doing. You've got the post footer, which is putting an opt-in form at the very bottom of your content, usually above the comments on your blog. It's a pretty good location to have an opt-in form. Now, you don't want to expect stellar opt-in rates there, but it will usually be better than a sidebar because it works with the flow of the reader as they're going down the page. And so if you've got good content and it gets them down to the bottom and they've read it, and then the lead magnet that you're offering them at the footer is very tightly related to the content they just read, then they're much more likely to opt in down there. You've also got the ribbon, which is basically a little banner bar that goes along the top of your site. And what it will usually do is push down the overall layout of your blog and just present this little ribbon, like a hello bar type of thing at the very top. Thrive Leads gives you that capability, and it's definitely something worth testing. And again, with all of these, it comes down ultimately to being related, to being contextual. So again, whatever you're offering there in that top bar, you want to make sure that it rotates around so that it's related to the page that they're on, or the reason why they're on that page to begin with. Okay. You've also got the full screen takeover where you go to the site and basically the whole screen just becomes an opt-in form. That can work pretty well. It's also a little bit intrusive, and so you want to basically just go with what you're comfortable with, but they definitely can convert. You just might want to play with the settings on that, on when you actually display such a thing to them, because keep in mind that when somebody first arrives on your site, they're there for their own reasons. And if you suddenly interrupt them with some offer, some lead magnet that's just not related to why they're there to begin with, they're just going to close the thing and they're probably going to get annoyed with you. Okay. Another type of opt-in form that Thrive Leads can do is called the scroll mat, where it's basically very similar to the full screen opt-in form. It's just that it doesn't have a little X for closing it. You basically just continue to scroll, and there your blog just shows up there. So it works very similar, and it can convert pretty well. You've got the slide-in, which is something that I actually really like, because a slide-in opt-in form will typically slide in from the bottom right or the bottom left. It doesn't take over the entire screen. stream. It's not as intrusive. And of course, if the thing that you are featuring as a free download is related to why they're on the page, it can convert pretty well. It's a way of backing up the locations like the post footer or the sidebar or things like that. Now, Thrive Leads has a general spot called the widget. And of course, the widget opt-in form would be what you would ultimately use in your sidebar. However, you want to keep in mind that a widget is a pretty general thing with regard to WordPress. I don't want to get into the technical stuff here, but let's just put it this way. Widgets are not confined only to your sidebar, okay? You can use widgets in other locations on your site. And in fact, you can even customize your theme to put widgets in pretty interesting places, such as in your header even. And so you could use the widget opt-in form with Thrive Leads, and as long as your theme is set up for it, you could actually utilize it in a number of different locations on your site. It does not have to be sidebars only, okay? So all of this to say that Thrive Leads really makes it very easy for you to test out different types of forms in different locations. And if you want fine-tuned control of that placement inside your content, it gives you that too through a system that it's called lead shortcode. So basically you build up an opt-in form and then it's represented by a little WordPress shortcode, and wherever you stick that shortcode, the opt-in form will go there. And that's what I do a lot for content upgrades, is I just insert the shortcode into my blog post and it will show up there. Okay. But all this to say that your action item for today for list building is to set up a different form of opt-in placement than whatever it is that you're doing right now. If all you're doing is a sidebar opt-in placement, then I want you to test something else. That's your action item, okay? Interestingly, you're going to find that an in-content content upgrade, which is something we've discussed already, will outperform even pop-ups and full screen forms. And it's because they're there for a reason. They came to that blog post for a reason. They came there to learn something about something that's on their mind at that point. And even a simple opt-in form for a content upgrade that is going to allow them to do something about the reason they came there to begin with is going to work better than taking over their entire screen. I mean, a lot of us are just into this habit of closing full screen pop-ups, so they don't convert quite as well as they used to, but they can convert well, and you want to test it. And so if you're running other things already, maybe you do want to test a full screen opt-in form and just see what happens. But your action item for today is to pick some type of opt-in form that you're not currently trying out on your site, and I want you to give it a test, and I want you to see how it works. Give this a go, and of course, let me know what you find. All right. I will see you next episode, where we're going to continue on our list building challenge. We do have a couple more installments here on the list building challenge, and then we're going to be continuing with some new material on some different topics. Okay. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, I'd really, really appreciate it if you pop over to wherever you happen to listen to this podcast, iTunes, Google Play, wherever it might be for you, and leave a quick review, post a little comment, let us know how you're enjoying the show, and let others know if you're finding it valuable. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, see you next time.